Hey everybody, I'm super excited to be working on my second boss list. This is technically my third, but I wrote a script 9 months ago, way before the Sonic X Shadow Generations videos came out. Go watch that video after this. Anyways, if you couldn't tell from the title of the video, it's on Dark Souls 1 bosses. Go watch my Getting Good 2 series to see how I fared. I honestly had a blast playing Dark Souls 1, far more than I did during my Bloodborne playthrough, but I blame background problems for that, like how I recorded and worked on stuff, but you didn't click on this video to hear about that. By the way, if you want to skip to the boss rankings, this video is chaptered, but you would miss my amazing intro. Dark Souls 1 had such an amazing simplicity. It wasn't baby simple, it was more archaic simple, but in a good way. It had simple fun charm. Everything had this charm: environments, NPCs, enemies, and especially bosses. Well, maybe not a few bosses, a bit of chaos. To quickly explain my ranking process, I thought over a few things. How difficult were the bosses, how cool were the boss arenas, also the boss's story impact, as well as how the bosses impacted me personally, which two bosses hit me in the goddamn feels. With that explained, let's get started. At the bottom of the barrel we've got Seath the Scaleless. This boss is good, don't get me wrong, but I have a personal problem with him that leads to his low ranking, but I'll get to that. There's one thing that puts this boss on the list, and that's when you first face him in Duke Archives, he absolutely beats your ass. Diving into the lore for a quick second, Seath was born without scales, which meant he wasn't immortal like the other dragons, which led to jealousy, which led to the death of his people. He eventually found a way to immortality, which is where we the player come in. When round 2 starts with Seath, you promptly destroy the crystal in his arena, and his immortality is gone, dusted. Now to be honest, the boss from here is meh. You avoid its crystal blast that caused death stats effect and wail on him, but this boss does have one more positive, and that's by cutting off his tail you get the Moonlight Greatsword, which I failed to get in my turn. Aww. But I digress. This boss fight was alright, the arenas you meet him in were cool, the last being this huge crystal cave which does look cool, but if you die fighting him, the walk back is so horrendous it's enough to give a nigga nightmares. But what really made this boss so good was the lore around him. And number 9 is the Four Kings. This boss fight can be extremely difficult if you are underleveled or let it. These kings aren't too difficult, they attack with basic swings. The bosses do have a grab attack, but if you're at a high level, they're really just a nuisance, especially that attack. But their design is honestly so goddamn cool. They look like they're made out of these weird metal fibers. This fight has amazing choir singing in the background as well, which is currently playing as I speak. The music absolutely elevates this boss fight. The last thing to earn these kings the 9th spot is the arena. It's simple but awesome emptiness, literally. A pitch black arena in the abyss. But sadly, all pros come with cons, and a good boy must be put down to get to these bosses. But we'll get to him later. Coming in at number 8, we've got Crossbreed Priscilla, who left me with permanent heart damage, and I'm gonna break down why. It all started when Mickey got sucked into a paint.
Wait, you're talking about the wrong game.
I am?
You're talking about this paint world, when you should be talking about this painted world.
Oh, right. So to get to this boss, you gotta go into this painting, Epic Mickey style. The painting is a world that is the dumping ground of undesirable people and items in the god's eyes. And at the top and in charge of this place, you meet the boss, Priscilla. She doesn't attack or anything, in fact, she begs you to leave. But I had to make the hard choice and beat her ass. But this broke my heart truly. She sees herself as the guardian of this place and these people. It's sad, but I've got to give her these hands. Now this boss fight does invisibility perfectly. Easily one of my favorite mechanics in a Souls boss fight. You can't see her at all, you can't even see her goddamn health bar. But the ground is littered with snow, allowing her footprints to give away her location. Kinda reminds me of the God of War 2 fight. But just because you got a clue where she is, doesn't mean the job's over. She will swing on you. But once you do enough damage, she'll drop her invisibility, and I'm reminded of how tall she is and how short I am. While visible, she still does basic swings with her scythe that hit like a goddamn train. But you keep dodging, wailing on her, and healing, and you will take her down. Then she'll ask a sad question. Then, filled with sadness, you take a plunge into despair. In spot 7, we've got the Chaos Witch Quelaag, everybody's second favorite female character. I would describe this boss fight as sick. Sick boss, sick moveset, sick weapon, and a sick background. Starting with her background, or lore, she was part of the Witches of Izalith. You may have heard of them. Well, they attempted to make a new first flame, a second flame if you will, and it failed miserably. All of them got cursed or warped in some way, and dear Quelaag here lost the ability to wear shirts and a spider for an ass. But one positive from this situation, she looks cool as hell with a big flaming spider for her lower body and a flaming sword. Now when it comes to movesets, she has her own and so does her spider half. She will do flame slashes from right and left. These are pretty easy to dodge but can pack a punch, especially if you're weak to fire. She will also do a flame sword thrust which can do crazy damage. Now when it comes to the spider half, it has 3 attacks. The first being throwing up lava everywhere. Next it will do an attack where it slams its legs down on you. Then lastly an explosion attack, which will eat up health if you're caught in that blast. Then on top of these 3 moves, the boss will jump around and away from attacks. All these moves combined plus her boobs make a memorable boss fight. Also the arena was alright, nothing to write home about. Coming into 6th place, we've got the Sanctuary Guardian. Now this boss looks like it was ripped straight out of God of War. But, fun fact, I found out as I was writing the script, God of War 3 did it first. Now diving into what earned this boss its spot, it looks super cool honestly. That's it really. But, jokes aside, this is a cool first boss for the DLC. This boss flies around to evade close attacks as well as shooting lightning. It will come back down to the ground and attack with claws doing slashes, even using its fangs as well to get in hits. Which with all these attacks, the Guardian imbues lightning into them as well. When it comes to the arena, the fight takes place in a huge pond in a forest, which is honestly cool. It makes the fight seem like you found a wild beast that's at the top of the food chain in the forest. But sadly in my playthrough, the boss went down without much of a sweat. It was a great boss and cool, but not as good as the top 5. Coming into the top 5, we got the one duo that everybody knows in real life, Ornstein and Smough. Now I'm including these 2 bosses together because they fight at the same time. There are so many different things that make this boss fight so good. The lore, the difficulty, the cutscenes, the end of an area that gives me a headache. First, let's dive into the lore a little bit and talk about Ornstein, who's the skinny one. He was one of the 4 knights, so obviously the dude was pretty strong. He was also a dragon killer, so he had a good status, and was an honorable man according to the lore and what people tell me in YouTube videos. All around, good guy. Smough is the bigger guy, who was an executioner who I'm pretty sure ate and definitely mutilated his opponents. Both of them are very cool, but this lore I'm explaining connects to a cutscene. This boss fight has 2 different cutscenes, depending on who you beat first. If you beat Ornstein first, you're greeted with a cutscene where Smough crushes and kills him, finishing him off and taking Ornstein's lightning ability. Then this leads to a switched boss fight where Smough now has lightning attacks added to his own moveset, giving them increased damage that can kill you easily. But going back, there's an option to beat Smough first, which leads to another cutscene where Ornstein mourns, then takes Smough's ability after he's dead, which leads to Ornstein's size doubling and having bigger attacks with way more range. These 2 different variations to the boss fight is what really earns these bosses the 5th spot. Either way you go, this is a fun, difficult boss fight, but no matter who powers up, they both go down the same way. Coming into the 4th spot, we've got the boss that hit me in the feels, and that is the Great Wolf Sith. The lore and depression this boss gave me earned it such a high ranking, and to be honest, I'm not a dog person at all. But for this dog, anyways, when it comes to fighting this PETA lover's nightmare, it's simple and easy. Dodge slashes and claws, as well as a big ass sword in its mouth. Simple stuff, but the lore implications, anything but simple. At the end of the Artorias of the Abyss DLC, which has you traveling a lot of time back into the past, you can find and save the dog of Artorias, who you had slain earlier. You defeat the enemies around the dog and save him. Then, when you head back to the present, you'll eventually run into him, where you are greeted to the saddest cutscene and boss in the game. The dog pounces on you to protect the ring you need. Then the dog realizes who you are after sniffing you and gets friendly. He then releases a howl and the fight begins. It's depressing because the fight is so easy. As the fight continues and the boss's health gets lower, it starts to limp and whimper. But you must sadly put down the dog you saved all those years ago, which broke my heart. On the 3rd pedestal, we've got the Father of the Abyss, Manus. What really earned this boss the 3rd spot for me was the design and difficulty. I died a decent amount of times to this boss. He's got this darkness arm that he'll claw you with that does good damage. Then he'll even throw an uppercut that stun the hell out of you. He will even try to squish you, whether that be with his damn buns or his hand. He even has magic abilities, summoning these darkness balls that track you. Don't even get me started with the damn combo attacks he'll put you in like this is motherfucking Tekken. The crazier part is, all these attacks do crazy amounts of damage. To be fair, that makes sense since he is the final boss of the DLC and they call him the Father of the Abyss, so it would be disrespectful if he was a shrimp. When it comes to the lore and story, this guy literally ruined a kingdom, corrupting the people. Even the Super Knight Artorias, the hero of the people, was beaten. Though Manus was strong, he wasn't strong enough, as he is conquerable. But even in defeat, his power still affects the world in present times, and even beyond. In the runner-up spot is the Lord of Cinder himself, Gwyn. What makes this boss so good is it's a culmination. This is the final fight to achieve everything we've been fighting and dying for, but it's also kind of sad and empty. It takes place in a barren arena, fighting the husk of a once great god in a desolate world to very somber music. When it comes to fighting this boss, he's got a cool flaming sword, he does grabs which, if you are weak, will destroy you, but I find this boss easy to defeat, especially if you can parry. If you can, he's fodder, which is what keeps him from earning the #1 spot. In first place, we've got the GOAT of Dark Souls 1 bosses, and that is Artorias the Abysswalker. Keep it a buck, this nigga oozes aura. Bro pulls up in a clean way, impaling some random dude and is ready to throw hands. He does crazy swings with the swords that do pretty good damage. He will also throw darkness at you sometimes, which will do light damage. Bro even does acrobatic flip attacks. He can even dodge roll like a player, which is really cool. Although he is moving slow compared to like bosses in Bloodborne, back in the day this boy was considered a speed demon. He's moving faster than other bosses in Dark Souls 1. The final attack I'll talk about for him though is an AoE one that he charges up. Once he finishes charging it, he'll release an explosion of darkness. Now really, Artorias is just an overpowered player. That's what it feels like fighting him, but like all bosses before him, he still goes down. But as a king. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the Dark Souls 1 boss ranked list. This is finally done. It took me ages. I wrote it almost, what did I say, 9 months ago, a lot of months ago. And it finally came to fruition. And I know this was shorter, but that's because I didn't want to change anything. This was the original script. I just recorded it out. Everything, I didn't change anything that was written down. So yeah, that's why it's so short compared to like my Sonic one or even my original Bloodborne one, because I was trying to do stuff differently with this one. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. All around me should be some clips and stuff. You know, we got my latest video, and then we got the whole Dark Souls 1 series right here. Latest videos over here. So yeah, go watch those. If you like this video, go watch my Dark Souls 1 series. I thought it was pretty good. I liked it myself. And yeah, see you guys in the next video.